I'm Mariah.
And I'm Victoria.
And this is
The Church Chat. The Church Chat.
Ooh.
We're so excited to be back this week.
Oh my gosh, I missed our conversations last week. Like, just sit down where we can just ping off each other, you know?
Well, we did have a ton of conversations last week that y'all didn't see, but we were on a youth trip. So we got lots of late nights together and many conversations.
Yes, we did. We were gone with our teenagers from our church to Warrior Fest, and it was an incredible weekend.
Like, phenomenal. Our kids were, like, on fire. Like, Holy Spirit was
and
there all
back
weekend.
With that fire, which is incredible.
Oh my goodness. Church on Sunday was phenomenal. All the kids were in the front, in the altar, jumping around, dancing.
My watch thought that I was doing a workout.
Shut up, because you were jumping? That is so funny.
Looks like you're working out. Do you want to
Do you want to start?
And I was like, no. Just praising Jesus. Just praising Jesus.
That is so funny.
It really was.
Yeah.
And it was Victoria's first youth trip since being out of high school.
Yeah, being in the actual youth. Oh my goodness.
And as a youth leader, so that was so much fun, and the kids loved her like I knew they would. So
it was so much fun, and it was great being with you because you're my bestie and we vibe, you know?
Yeah, we do.
But shoo, Lord, I am not as young as I once was.
Welcome to it, sister.
Those girls stomping around all night, eating cookies. I was like, I'm going to kill them if they don't go to bed. I'm going to kill them.
You just have to tune it out after that time. Once that hits midnight, you're like, I just can't.
I just have to sleep.
And they still beg for like lock-ins, and I'm like, you don't understand.
I can't do it.
You don't understand. I'm in my 30s almost.
I can't stay up all night.
I go to bed at 8 o'clock. And so, but it was a great weekend. God really did some great things in our kids, but he also, I feel like we both got something out of it too. It was just like a refreshing time, a refreshing weekend.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't just geared toward kids. Like, I mean, a lot of the sermons and, I mean, even the worship definitely was geared more toward, I mean, I feel like everyone, like anyone that went could have gotten something out of it, but it was amazing. All good things, Pastor Perry Stone.
Pastor Perry Stone, yeah, Warrior Fest. So I encourage you to go to Warrior Fest next year. It's just, the Holy Spirit was really there, and our kids have just, you know, we've gone on trips before, and great things happen, and you know, God really moves, but this time seems different just somehow, like what they've brought back. It just seems a little different, and there's always the excitement of emotions and stuff. You know, you don't want to move on emotions, I guess, only, but it just seems different. It seems like they really got something this time. And
I feel like that correlates with what we're seeing in the world too with our young people. Like, there's just this great revival happening, you know, in our young people, like a major shift and move toward Jesus, which is phenomenal.
I would agree.
It's great to see, you know.
It's really awesome. It's just been really great. And
I'm
glad that you were there with me to experience it.
It was so good.
Yeah. Well, like we said, we're excited about being back and being able to talk. We are going to talk about some things today. I don't know how to explain it. Like, it's a serious topic. Because the Bible talks about not being allowed to enter the gates of heaven without forgiveness.
What we're talking about.
Yeah, without what we're talking about. We're going to be talking about unforgiveness and kind of going off of that. So I was thinking about our conversation and what we were going to talk about today, and as I was kind of preparing, and I got tickled because I just thought about how many fights we've had.
Oh, goodness.
And I thought, oh, God, we could share some of those stories.
Definitely.
Thank God that we followed the forgiveness. But there was about, you know, we told the teenagers even over that Warrior Fest weekend about the year that we weren't like friends, you know?
Yeah.
It was about a year.
It was about a year, which is, I mean, it doesn't seem like that long now, but that's a long time to not be friends with your very best friend.
Yeah, who we grew up together. And it was over something really so stupid.
Over being in a play.
A Christmas play.
And we wanted to be the star of the show, Lorna Limelight. And we will never forget it.
I still remember a line. This humidity is killing my hair.
I don't remember anything.
She was like a news reporter.
Yeah.
It was.
And she was very sassy. So it came out in both of us that year. Mm-hmm. And it's crazy to see like our youth girls because like there's always drama with teenagers. But
their drama is way different than what our drama was.
Way different than what our drama was because like me and Mariah, we've been in the church forever, right? Yeah. So everyone knew us. We were kind of like the anchors of the youth group. Well, when we stopped being friends, like it was like a church split. It was a youth group split.
It was a youth group split.
So she had her team and I had my team and we were just duking it out.
And I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed of that.
We were also in like 7th grade. Let's just say
we
that.
weren't like
we weren't like,
we
were like 12.
And so it seems insignificant, but it was significant to us in our friendship because it went a whole year without like being reconciled.
Which is crazy for us. That's honestly insane.
That's insane that over that. Like
the dumbest thing.
It could have been over anything, but it was over a play. And I think about our teenagers now and it's like,
oh my goodness.
They might argue over boys or something like that, but like they're not fighting for a
Christmas play spot.
Yeah. So,
but I guess we just forgave each other. I think we did just one day. We were just like, okay, we're over it. Like, let's forgive each other. I
invited you over randomly.
Oh, really?
House. Yeah. Do you not? It was that year when I
don't
lived,
remember.
In Powell.
Across from your grandma?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and it was like I had been like a year, and I don't know why. I think I was like, just wanted to hang out, and we just let it.
She probably didn't have anybody else to hang out with that day, and she's like, "I've gone through my list of friends. Let's try this one now."
And so I think we just ended up being fine after that.
Wait, that's cute.
I feel like I remember.
I just remember saying like, "Let's be done with it and over with."
Yeah,
and it was like
we did that at my house.
Yeah,
that day.
Aww,
so that's really crazy. But a whole year went by before we were like, "Okay, it's fine."
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like people do that still today. Like they'll let
so grudges.
much time go
yeah.
by before they're gonna be like, you know what? It's not that big of a deal in retrospect. Like, it's not that let's just get over it.
Right.
There's a level of maturity with that too.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah, 100%. But I feel like unforgiveness, it affects like everyone.
Yes, it does.
For sure.
Specifically yourself, the one that's not forgiving.
Exactly. And I don't know if you heard this, but on Sunday, we had a guest speaker. And he said, if you don't forgive others, your Father will not forgive you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You can enter into the kingdom.
But listen, I didn't realize that. I was like, he's being dramatic. I cannot believe he said that. But when I was looking, it literally says in Matthew 6:14 and 15,
mm-hmm.
like, if you do not forgive people, your Father will not send forgiveness to you.
Yeah.
And then it talks about, I looked this up too. It was Matthew 18:21 through 35. It's the parable of the unforgiving servant.
The king who let the man out of, I wrote that same.
I was wondering why you were giggling. But yeah, I was like, oh, he's being whatever, Pastor Sykes is being super dramatic. Like, the Lord will always extend forgiveness to you. Like, that's what Jesus is for.
That's a big deal to him.
But that is a huge deal for him.
It
because
literally talks about not being able to enter into the kingdom of heaven holding unforgiveness.
Which is so crazy. Because like in the parable with the king, it's like, oh, I'm clearing your debt, but you're going to go back to your servant who has minimal debt compared to yours. And you're going to choke him and send him to jail.
Which is exactly what the Father does for us.
Yep.
He cleared our debt, but we can't forgive somebody for asking out our boyfriend or something goofy.
Yeah, something
goofy. Or getting the spot into play. You
know?
Like, as silly as that sounds, it's so true. We take the smallest thing and we hold grudges upon people. And I'm not gonna lie, that is something I have struggled with my whole life. I'm a grudge holder. I don't.
You just can't get over it.
I try.
Mm-hmm.
But I usually, and I just be honest. I am. As much as I want to make it better, I don't think there's a way to make it better. I struggle with that. I always remember what you did or what you said. And that's something that the Lord has to deal with me with because I will think about it years later.
But at least you're self-aware. Yeah. Some people are not self-aware that they are full of hatred toward a person.
Right.
And then that's a constant thing in their life. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I wrote down that same story and I thought that was just so interesting. And then I also, it said like, I wanted to ask this question, but like, who are you helping most when you forgive somebody?
You're definitely like, I mean, you're definitely helping the other person, but I wrote this down too. There's so many self consequences when you don't forgive someone else.
Yeah.
Like you become spiritually stagnant. Like you can't grow.
Can't move forward.
Yeah. You can't move forward with your spiritual relationship, or you have damaged relationships, right? Like you, like say someone's dad leaves him, which I do not have that experience, so I shouldn't really speak on it. But you don't need to be so have so much hatred for other people. Like that like can damage the other relationships in your life.
Right.
Because you haven't forgiven that one person.
And it can project.
Exactly.
It can
projecting.
Yeah.
And then like it causes anxiety, which is a huge thing for us. Emotional distress.
Yeah.
It
sure does.
You know, because you have that root of bitterness, which in Hebrews it says it warns against the root of bitterness, and it causes trouble and defiles many.
Yep.
So
not just you, but
exactly
everybody else around you.
Yeah.
And I do think I think mostly it helps yourself when you're forgiving others, just because someone could maybe not even know that you're mad at them. They might even not even know that. I know my dad has told many stories. He's been a pastor for 33 years, and he just here at this church. That doesn't count as youth ministry time, but he has told stories about people that have come up to him like randomly and been like, you know what, I forgive you for this, like for what you did 20 years ago, and he'll have no idea what they're even referring to.
He's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
You know,
but
so
great.
Like, that person has lived their life while you've been holding on to that and eating that. So like, it's just, it
hinders that person.
Yeah, it does. So it's important to forgive. But I wrote down a verse, Ephesians 4:26 through 27. Be angry, but do not sin. It's okay to get angry. We talked about emotions being from God. They're a blessing that we get to feel them, but it's what we do with those emotions that become sin, specifically anger. And do not let the sun go down on your anger. And I loved this part, so I underlined it. Give no opportunity to the devil. It gives an opportunity for him to come in and change your mindset on things.
Right.
And,
harden your heart.
Harden your heart.
Yeah. Wait, that's good.
I liked that because it said give no opportunity to the devil.
Huh.
So unforgiveness opens a door almost.
Yeah.
We always talk about things opening doors to spirits and things in your home if you allow things in your home. But that can open. You don't think about unforgiveness opening a door in your heart.
Right. And we say this all the time, but when you give someone an inch, takes a mile. Give the devil an inch.
He'll take a mile.
Just a little bit of a crack in that door, and he'll swing it right open, right?
He sure will. He'll take it without asking.
So with you, so I know we kind of touched on this in a podcast previously, but you know, people constantly get hurt by the church.
Yes.
And you hear that all the time. I mean, I was one of those people. I grew up as a pastor's kid, as did you. I probably saw a lot more of the background than I should have seen at such a young age. I'm sure you feel the same way.
Yeah.
And like who people truly are, you know, even if you're even if you're in ministry and even if you're a worship leader or whatever you're doing, you're still a person, right? But as a kid, I didn't realize that. Like I was putting these people up on a pedestal, and then I would, you know.
So you felt church hurt from somebody in leadership at some point.
Yeah, for sure. And like more like adults.
Yeah.
They didn't have to be in like true like pastoral, is that a word? Pastoral. Thank you. Leadership, you know, but like our volunteers, like for youth, like they would say hurtful things, and like to me that's an authoritative figure. And once I was able like to be old enough to reflect on that, I was like, I can't believe they said that to me, you know?
Do you want to share?
Oh, I mean, I can.
I think it'd be good to have a personal story.
So when I was in high school, I didn't go to obviously your school.
Yeah.
So I went to a different county school.
Yeah.
And then I came here, and you guys pretty much all went to the same school. Well, I was like involved in a lot of things in high school. I was a cheerleader, which is the more specific thing in this story. And I feel like people looked at me like adult wise, they were like, oh, she's like part of her school, like she's involved, like she's part of like the world, she's a cheerleader.
Which is crazy.
Which is so crazy. And I remember being in youth, I think it was on a Sunday. We went to class, and it was a man, and he was teaching us or whatever he was doing, and somehow ended up calling cheerleaders sluts and used the term slut. Like, I will forever remember this. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's me. Like, he's literally referring to me. I'm the only one in this classroom that is a cheerleader. I am a slut. And I was like, I'm 16. Like, how are you saying that to me in a church setting?
Yeah.
You know, and it probably didn't. No one else really probably thought about it.
Probably not.
But, I mean.
And to be honest, the person that said it probably didn't think about it either.
Exactly. I feel like I was targeted in that moment, but now that I look back and I'm 30 and I work with the youth, like, I say stupid stuff too. I mean, not like that, but who knows how people can perceive things,
right.
You know? So that hurt me for a long time because I felt like I was looked at differently and looked like I was kind of
like
worldly.
The stereotypical.
Yeah.
They took the stereotypical
exactly.
cheerleader that I guess that was portrayed, that way sometimes. Yeah. But that doesn't make it like everybody.
Exactly. And I was an angel in high school, like saint, you know? So it like hurt my heart.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want people to think of me that way.
Yeah.
But once I went to college, like I kind of reflected and was like, I don't really want to be a part of that, you know? And then I've talked to multiple people about it, but I remember one specific conversation that I had with my manager in Atlanta at my first job. I was like, you know, like I've just been so hurt by church and like the people there. And she's like, but Victoria, like you need to worry about your relationship with God. Like, don't worry about other people around you. Like,
it wasn't God that said those things.
Exactly.
That hurt you.
You need to figure out your relationship with Him. You know, what that looks like. And then, like, you still need to go to church. So it took me a long time. Like, I was not involved, like, all of my 20s in church until I came back here. So it took, like, a long time.
It's a healing process.
Yeah.
I think that, you know, church hurt happens a lot. And even the person that is doing the hurting, like, doesn't necessarily always mean to, you know? They're living their life too, and we have to remember that. But I also, this side of it as the person in ministry can experience church hurt too from the people. I don't know if nobody really looks at that side of it.
Yeah.
But there's a difference, you know, like everybody can experience church hurt, even if they are in a place of ministry, even if they're in an authority. I don't really want to call it authority, but like
leadership position.
A leadership position. Because people are just people.
Yeah.
And whether they mean to hurt you or not, sometimes it happens, but you have to be able to separate between what is from God and what is from flesh.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
But nobody really talks about church hurt from a person in leadership's position.
Yeah.
Because guess what? You don't get to quit.
You don't.
You don't get to leave your church on a whim and say, I ain't coming back.
Yeah.
If you do, then you're just immature.
Like, they hurt my feelings. I'm leaving.
Yeah, it doesn't happen like that.
Yeah.
You continue to show up even when you're hurt. And you continue to press forward. And that's hard. So, you know, I try to think, you know, people think of your pastors, think of your the person that's teaching you, of what you do. That's why it's important. As a person who's seen people come and go in one church, you spend so much time pouring into people. And I'm going to get emotional just talking about it because I've seen so much of it, but you spend so much time pouring into people. Even the teenagers, you know, I've gotten upset and hurt over that before. I've done it for a while, but you spend so much time and then all of a sudden they just leave like it was nothing. They don't tell you, they don't call you, they don't text you back, and they don't, you know, like, you're like, what happened? What, you know, we love these people.
Right.
You know?
You're part of our community.
Did
part of
I
our
do
family.
something? Like,
yeah.
And I just, that's a hurtful thing too. And people don't realize that, and it happens over and over and over with different people. It just opens the same wound,
Right.
And so that's something that just to play devil's advocate on the other side of, on the other side of the line there, what church hurt is too.
Yeah. So to say all that, being hurt in church, you can always come back.
Yeah.
That does come with forgiveness, though, for sure. Definitely get down to the root of it. But like I said, focus on God and your relationship with Jesus.
Yeah.
And realize that people are people and they're not perfect. And
That's
they
right.
probably don't even know that they upset you.
Yep.
And
if they did, just instead of festering on it and holding it in, why can't we be mature people?
Yep.
And go to that person and be like, hey, this really hurt my feelings when you said this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be mean about it, and I don't want to hold on to it, but it did hurt my feelings. And maybe that person will apologize. Like, why do we have to be immature about it?
Right.
And
we do this in the workplace. We do this in our families. Like, we do this in our friendships. Why can't we do it with our church family too?
Or we get passive aggressive.
That's
a whole nother
topic.
Yeah.
But then also you need to guard your heart.
Yeah.
Guard your heart, for it is the wellspring of life. Maybe don't get so offended about things, like have that guard on your heart and pray about that,
Yeah. Offenses can lead us to dark places.
Yeah. So that's how I feel like I came back around,
Yeah.
It's all a healing process.
It is a process. It is
sure.
a healing process. You have to forgive. And one thing that, as we wrap up, one thing that I thought was really interesting that I read was that you have to decide to forgive. It's not.
Yep. It's a conscious decision.
If you wait until you feel like it,
it ain't gonna happen.
It's not gonna happen, because we do get hurt. And we do have feelings, and so if we wait, but God wants us to choose forgiveness, and in that we're choosing to obey Him, because His word is to forgive.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
You're good.
And what Wesley always says, like, that little seed that's in your heart, whatever that is, it's going to flow out of you.
Yep.
And if you're putting that little seed of unforgiveness and hatred and bitterness, that's going to come out of your mouth.
Yeah.
And come out of your heart.
And forgiveness doesn't happen on your own either.
Mm-hmm.
You have to depend on God, because if you're willing to truly forgive, God will enable you to do it.
Yeah.
I think that's interesting. And overall, you pray for your enemies, and you're obeying God by forgiving. It's an obedience thing too.
Right.
Which is really brings it full circle.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. That's so good. And then He forgives us.
Yep.
It literally is the circle.
The circle of life. Yeah. Okay. We can go on.
That was good. I
Yeah,
love
that was
this
so
conversation.
good.
This was a good one.
This was a good one.
I really did miss it last week.
I did too. It helps us grow too.
Yes, it really does.
Well, it's been just such a good day, such a good conversation. I can't wait to get started next week and do it again.
And I'm so glad we forgave each other back in the day.
I know.
Or we wouldn't be here today.
But we also went through that phase where we're like, let's just forget about it.
We did. Let's just forget about it. We still randomly do that.
Take that as advice when you're mad at somebody, to say, let's just forget about it.
And then you forgive them, and it's perfect.
Yep. All right, guys, we love you. We're praying for you this week, and we'll see you next week on the Church Chat.
Yes, thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.